A quick heads up, listeners, that this was recorded before we learned that Gucci was, in fact, opening a store in Detroit. So some of those rumors that I talked about, somewhat confirmed. We've got more details on our newsletter, dailydetroit.substack.com. All right, let's get started. Hello and welcome to a fun Friday edition of Your Daily Detroit. It is January 21st, 2022. I'm Jer Stays, coming to you from east of Woodward, and from west of Woodward,
I am Devin O'Reilly.
good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you, Jer. We are in a cold snap right now. Hey, we got to buckle down for the rest of the winter, but warmer temps and spring is around the corner. That's at least what I'm telling myself.
But sir, I have warm thoughts.
Warm thoughts and hopefully a drink to warm you up too.
In fact, I do. So, ahead of an interview that I'm doing, I think next week, with the author of a new book, Detroit Tiki, A History of Polynesian Palaces and Tropical Cocktails, I decided to bring out a tiki drink.
Good idea, Jer. I love tiki culture. Love it. What do you got?
So, I've got the Beachcomber, which is a drink that was allegedly created by Trader Vic's. Now, Trader Vic's, as a tiki chain back in the heyday of the tiki scene, was not based in Detroit, but it did have a Detroit location in the Statler Hotel. It became the hotel bar of that whole chain that the Statler was a part of. I want to say was Hilton. And the Beachcomber is a big part of that.
What do you got in that Beachcomber?
3/4 part, basically triple sec, 2 parts of light rum, 3/4 part lime juice, 2 dashes of maraschino liqueur, a 1/4 teaspoon of simple syrup, and ice cubes. You want to put it in the shaker, strain it. You got a thing of beauty.
Wow. Okay. I mean, sounds a little complicated, but that's the way tiki drinks go. They got a lot of nice different ingredients in there. You got to have a lot of stuff on hand to make a tiki drink, right, Jer?
Oh, and listen, Engineer Randy has prepared me well with all kinds of things because he is such a fan of tiki drinks. And I figured I had to step it up after the other week where I did 2 ingredients and it tasted like a mint fire.
We do like those simple cocktails, but I'm glad you're sipping on a tiki drink. Fun fact, I went to, I think it's one of the first Trader Vic's ever in London, actually.
Oh.
It's still open. It might be one of the only ones that's still open, but I went there with my brother when I was in London a few years ago. It definitely felt like it was past its prime, but quite the spectacle in terms of decor.
Well, I'm looking forward to this interview, and I'm also excited there's a little bit of a resurgence of the scene. The 2 kind of flagship places in town for tiki right now are the Lost River on the east side and Mutiny on the west side. They both have different kind of twists to it. I, of course, favor the east side just a little bit. I'm glad to see kind of a freshening of the concept so that it feels more welcoming and more exciting and all that other kind of stuff. Because, here's the thing. In a winter climate like ours, a bar that's a little warmer than it should be, warm weather theme, I think could be kind of welcoming.
Jared, when you're in the midst of single digit temperatures in Detroit or Michigan, you really need those cocktails and those places that are going to kind of take you mentally on a vacation. And that's exactly what these drinks do and what Lost River and Mutiny do. All
right, what do you got?
Well, Jerry, I went a little more classic with my drink. As you know, and any listeners know, I'm a fan of the darker spirits. Manhattan is probably my go-to cocktail. But I wonder how many people know about its close cousin, the Rob Roy.
Do tell.
So a Rob Roy is basically an interesting twist on a Manhattan that was created back in 1894 by a bartender at the Waldorf Astoria. It was called a Rob Roy because of the Scottish folk hero Rob Roy McGregor, which there was currently an opera taking place in New York about Mr. Rob Roy McGregor. And this also gives it its name and its flavor profile. So a Manhattan, what are we working with? We're working with rye, sweet vermouth, some bitters, and a cherry. The only difference is the Rob Roy, you sub out that rye for some nice scotch. So you get heaviness, you got the earthiness. So you got basically 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces of scotch, 1/2 ounce to 1 ounce of vermouth, depending how you take it, a cherry, and a few dashes of bitters. It's delicious.
First up, a battle of the mansions. There are two stately places, palaces, if you will, up for sale right now in the Metro Detroit area. In fact, not just Metro Detroit area, the city of Detroit. They're just mere miles from each other. But on the market came today the Burgess Book Mansion, which if you've ever driven down East Jefferson near Indian Village, it's that big squarish, beautiful house there.
You probably don't even realize it's a house, Jer. You probably, I passed this, I thought it was a museum or something.
Well, exactly. And it is gorgeous, but it was also built at a time where Jefferson was much smaller, so it's a little closer to the street than you would think for a house nowadays, you know?
Oh yeah, it sits right on Jefferson.
Years ago, I spotted work. I even wrote about it for a blog post up on the site. I spotted work happening in this place because it had been so long. Well, it looks like that rehab work has fallen through because it's now for sale for about $3 million right now. Friends are calling it the Palace or the Versailles of Detroit. It's definitely got that potential. Like, it's got the size, it's got the crazy yard, it's got an interesting location. But I think we could really have a high-end mansion off for the money that we don't have, or our benefactor of Daily Detroit that would like to start a Daily Detroit house that we could all then move in like YouTube influencers.
I love this, Jared. It's almost also kind of like a battle of the neighborhoods in a sense. You know, the esteemed Boston Edison, the esteemed Indian Village, two places that have, you know, from a square footage perspective, from a grandeur and history perspective, some of the greatest still standing houses in the city of Detroit, in Michigan, and I would even say in all of America. I mean, some of these are just unbelievably beautiful mansions. So battle going on here. You know, I'm gonna give the edge though myself to the Kresge Mansion in Boston Edison. One, because as we said, the Book Mansion, as we'll call it, is right on Jefferson, so that noise is going to be an issue. You got some foot traffic on Jefferson. I don't know. You'd have to really kind of get yourself separated from the street noise and everything. Whereas the Kresge Mansion sits a little bit off Woodward. You've got some foliage there. You can kind of separate yourself. It's larger by about 4,000 to 5,000 square feet. To me, it's got much more of a usable kind of setup with tennis courts in the back and everything. So I'm going Kresge Mansion.
I will say that this Kresge Mansion, I am surprised it has been on the market for this long, because whereas the Burgess Book still, like, if you look at the listings, there's still a lot of work to be done on it. You can see the grandeur, but there's still work to be done. This has been painstakingly restored over the course of like a quarter century by the current owner. And like, if you wanted to be a big player in Detroit and make a splash, this one seems like the one to pick.
I would agree, Jerry. It seems more ready, and I feel like also with the Book Mansion. I mean, I don't want to get too down on it, but again, I don't feel bad disparaging a $3.5 million mansion. Here's my hot take: they're going to get half for that. Watch what this goes for. It'll be half of the 3.5.
I'll put links in the show notes to both. I think you'll see kind of what we mean, that it needs some rehab, but oh my gosh, so much potential in that property. But I feel like when I've seen the photos, and I got to ask you this, why do you think, with one being, you know, on basically the right off of Woodward, right off of Boston, the other one being right off of Jefferson there, why do you think that one hasn't sold yet? Because that's a signature property.
God, Jared, you know what? It would be tough to tell you. I feel like maybe, you know, we talked about this, Jared. $2.5 million is a lot of money, more than, you know, you and I, you know, will probably ever see. But at the same time, you know, you see houses in the suburbs in Oakland County and beyond go for 2, 3, 4, 5. There's houses in Birmingham I've seen for $6, $7, $8 million. Someone who's spending that much money on that type of a house, the value you get in Boston Edison, oh, I mean, it's incredible.
Now, staying in that same Jefferson East neighborhood, in that same area, I want to give a little follow-up, because you and I spent some time talking about the Jeffersonian house. And I say with a Z because they've replaced the S with a Z, which is one of my, it drives me batty. I think it also drives me batty that I look at the blue sign when you go up Jefferson and you can see the house in the distance, and it just makes me twitch.
Jer, I gotta say, when I lived in Midtown off of Mack and Woodward, I could look out of my window and I could see that blue glow, I swear to you, from Mack and Woodward. It's crazy.
Well, Cranes Detroit reports that it's going to go to sheriff's auction in the middle of February for basically to handle this whole situation, because there's been an ongoing issue between Barbet, the other owners, Fannie Mae, which is the lender on this 30-story tower. I feel really bad because the people who live there have gotten caught in this mess, and I hope that this auction ends up them getting into hands that'll actually help take care of it. But like it's just a shame to see this go this far.
It really is, Jared. And I mean, if anyone drives past it or you're familiar with it, it's a beautiful mid-century building. I mean, it's really nice in there. And I've actually toured apartments and units there before. They have these huge wraparound porches, and you basically have 180-degree views no matter what unit you're in. It's a really cool building. So it's sad all around. And, another house bites the dust. I don't know how much house is left. You'd think they're going to pack it in, Jer, or have we heard the last of the House dynasty?
Sir, there's more House for you.
No, not more House.
I've got all the House.
Oh no!
Do you know how much House I have?
Oh my goodness!
I have Oakland County House.
Really? Okay,
yes, in Birmingham. There's the Birmingham House.
House in Birmingham. Wow. Okay, tell me about this, Jer.
Yeah, it's like 3 stories or so. It's luxury apartments in downtown Birmingham. It's, near all the things, because, Birmingham is its own little market, right?
Sure.
This is over on South Old Woodward, but get the prices on this one. Now,
well,
why don't you guess?
Well, okay, so let's set the barometer here. So the standard would be like a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, right?
1 bedroom. Let's start with the 1 bedroom, 1 bath, a regular one. Let's not talk penthouse.
Sure.
Or, wait, penthouse.
Oh, okay. No. Well, 1 bedroom, 1 bath in Detroit. I'm going to say if you're living downtown, you're going for like $1,500, $1,600. I mean, maybe I'm naive, but I don't see Birmingham as being any more desirable. So I would go $1,500, $1,600.
Between $3,000 and $5,000 per month, sir.
What? Wait, 1 bedroom?
For between 650 and 820 square feet. If you'd like 820 square feet, you're looking at $5 cool grand every month.
Sweet Hazen Pingree. It's insane. Jared, that is insane. I've toured 3-bedroom houses, 3-bedroom apartments on like the 25th story of a luxury apartment downtown for that price.
But
that's crazy.
They weren't houses.
They were not houses. No, they use S's like just normal boring apartments.
But I'm not done.
Or you're not, are you? Okay.
No, I'm not done at all. Sir, if you would like a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath penthouse.
I don't even want to know. But first of all, Jerry, I'm going to tell you right now, that's small for a penthouse. That's small for a penthouse. 2-bedroom, 2 bath.
It's a little under 1,800 square feet.
Oh my God. That's not a penthouse. That's not a penthouse.
All right. Well, what if I told you? What if I said it was $15,000?
I would tell you, let me know the sucker that takes that.
Well, the thing is that I just literally watched a video the other day on YouTube with a high-end realtor in Chicago, downtown Chicago, with like amazing like furnishings, finishings, the whole deal. And that was $15,000 a month for a place that was bigger in downtown Chicago.
I know. I don't want to seem like we're being like really hard on the houses and all that. But I mean, what you're telling me, like price-wise, is preposterous.
Listen, for 15 grand a month, you can buy an S. We started the show talking booze, and let's keep talking booze. Out the liquor rankings of the places in Michigan that sold the most booze. Now, we don't care about various outstate counties. We care about our neck of the woods. And I have some interesting things to share with you about where these things are, what these tops are. Basically, these are the places that sell the most booze, either on-premise or off-premise.
Okay.
And this can include bars, this can include strip clubs, this could include liquor stores.
Oh, I'm really excited to hear this, Jeff. This is right up my alley, Jer. Love the data behind the booze. So, yeah, give it to me. What do we got?
So, did you know that the number one place to sell booze, the number one booze sales in the city of Detroit, is a mere 3 short blocks from that Boston Edison house?
Oh, my goodness. Wow. The parties you could have.
Kenwood Market at Kenilworth and Woodward,
Interesting. Okay.
just a few blocks away from the studio here.
Wow. It would be, who knows? What do you think, Jer? Since that's your neighborhood, does it seem like it's super busy all the time?
I mean, it is always busy. It's always like I go to the subway up there and it's always busy. And they did nearly $2.9 million of liquor sales.
Wow. Good for them. I'll be honest. My only thought in hearing that, well, one of my only thoughts is I hope it's owned by a local.
I hope so too, because they literally sell more booze than many Costco's and Meijer out there.
That's incredible. I mean, again, good for them. I'm not gonna, hey, that's awesome. It's a high number, Jer.
All right, so let's get into some of the other areas around town. I know that Dearborn is near and dear to your heart.
A little bit, Jer.
Would you like to know about them?
I'd like to know, because you know what's funny, Jer? Before you even say anything, I know the truth, but I bet a lot of people are going to think about this stereotype that, there's a lot of Arab Americans, a lot of Muslims in Dearborn. So, there's probably not a lot of booze sales in Dearborn. I bet that's not true. In fact, I know it's not true.
The number one spot in Dearborn for retail is a Kroger store, and the number two is the Pantheon Club.
The Pantheon Club. Wow.
Yeah.
Which is, for those not familiar, that is a gentleman's club on Michigan Avenue.
I feel like they would do very well because they are a gentleman's club in a pretty safe area of town.
Yeah, the far east side of Dearborn. I mean, we're talking, Miller Road and Michigan Avenue, very close to Detroit. I'm sure that the crowd, they get a lot of people from Detroit. You get a lot of people from Dearborn. It's a big place. Full disclosure, I have been to the Pantheon Club, but it's been quite a while.
So I wonder, that place has been around a long time, right? Like a really long time.
Oh, yes. 20 plus years. It's a large space. They can fit a lot of people in there. At a gentleman's club or a strip club, whatever you want to call it, you can upcharge for booze. No one cares what they're paying for booze because that's not why they're there. So I'm sure you can get a lot of, you can upcharge for the alcohol. You can sell a lot of it. Where else are you going to buy, $5, $10, $15,000 bottles of champagne with sparklers on it? Like that. I see that's the type of place that's going to drive up all of the sales because you have these kind of big ticket items like that. So it kind of, it does make sense.
The on-premise drinking, the Pantheon Club also takes the title for Wayne County as a whole.
Wow.
And then the highest sales for drinking for a place that, you buy stuff in Wayne County is the Wine Palace in Livonia.
You know what? I hear a lot of my friends talk about Wine Palace. I have not had the privilege or opportunity yet to go there, but I do hear a lot of buzz about Wine Palace being the place for booze.
Now in Oakland County, their top retailer is kind of boring. It's a Costco in Auburn Hills. Now for on-premise drinking, let's venture a guess. Oakland County, highest sales.
Oakland County. Oh my goodness. Got to be somewhere in Birmingham. I'm going to say, it's been a while since I've been in Birmingham. Is 220 still around?
Nailed it.
Oh, got it.
Nailed
All
it.
right.
I mean, if you've got money for 220, you've got money for a house.
You know what? You're darn right, Jer.
Now, up in Macomb County, their top retailer is a Costco in Shelby Township. But on-premise drinking. Now, I know that Macomb County isn't your number one spot, but why don't we venture a guess there?
This will be fun because I don't know anywhere, Jer.
You don't know anywhere.
I'm going to give it a shot. You know what? I know in Macomb County, maybe one of those places in St. Clair Shores is big. So those are big, like the water places, the water bars.
The water place?
I'm terrible. Hold on.
You are terrible. I'm sorry to all of our St. Clair Shores listeners. I know you're out there. I've heard from you. You're wonderful.
I've been to one of these. Brownies. There's a place called Brownies. Brownies on the Lake.
The answer is on 35,000 Moravian Drive in Sterling Heights, Johnny Black's Public House.
Oh, would have
never heard of it in my life.
Never in a million years.
I guess I'm going to have to check it out if they're selling all this booze. But it's a chain. Yeah. So they've got so this is what I learned today. I learned Sterling Heights, Rochester Hills, Waterford, Lake Orion, a lake house, and Harrison Township. Today I learned.
I mean, hey, well, I guess we got to check it out. I know them for their water bars, but not much outside of that.
The Henry Ford came out with a little bit of sad news for certain kinds of fans of the place this week. Near and dear to my heart was the Maker Faire. Now, it originally had multiple locations around the country. For a while, Dearborn kind of picked up the mantle and was like the location. but unfortunately heard that it was not sustainable with all the pandemic and everything else and all of the resources it takes to make that thing happen. So there is no more Maker Faire. This hurts my heart as a nerd. It's where I felt like I could run into my people, and I feel less and less like I can find places where I can run into my people. So I feel a little bit of sadness with this one. There's this great vehicle that's looks like one of those scrubbing bubbles, like a scrubber. It was absolutely hilarious and so much fun. And there are just so many cool things to do. And I'm going to miss this event. I really thought it was special, and I really hope that we find a way post everything that we could find a way to support these kinds of wonderful things. And I don't know what the gap is. I'm not smart enough. I haven't talked to the right people. It's part of what makes a place really interesting to me.
Yeah, it was something really unique to the city, and it's not something that I didn't really attend, I'll be honest, Jared, but at the same time, you couldn't miss it if you lived in Dearborn because there was all sorts of cool stuff going on in that massive Henry Ford parking lot. So I always, even when I didn't go, I was like, that looks like a cool ass scene. So it's sad to see it go. Jared, something else that is at least going away for this year, and maybe, we'll hopefully see it come back in future years, is the Civil War reenactment at Greenfield Village, which was always really a cool thing. I have fond memories growing up as a kid going to the Civil War reenactment. They had the encampments, they had the battles. You could really get up close and personal and see kind of how things unfolded. Now, as a kid, I don't know how historically accurate it all was. The Union won, so the result was definitely historically accurate. But I loved going. It was really cool to kind of see that up close and personal. It's like living in a movie when you're a kid. I hope they do come back in some way. It looks like they're going to kind of retool and kind of look at, it hasn't, the whole program aspect of it hasn't really been updated in decades. So maybe it makes sense to kind of look at it, retool a little bit, but I do hope it comes back.
Let's talk about the Yelp Top 100. Now, love them or hate them, Yelp reviewers, they tend to have a lot of influence with diners and with people in general. Yelp put out their top 100 restaurants in the country. Shout out to engineer Randy for putting this across our desk. There is but one Detroit entrant in the Yelp 100, and that would be...
Boo.
And actually there were 3 entrances from Michigan, 2 of them from Grand Rapids, which surprised me. So Grey Ghost made list number 62. I mean, you like Grey Ghost. It's actually one of your top spots.
No, yeah, Jer. I think I would have no problem with someone saying that a Grey Ghost is the best restaurant in Detroit. I would totally support that and upvote that statement. As much as we have really good restaurants, Grey Ghost is probably the best.
So if you could pick one, Devin, what Detroit area restaurant are you surprised is not on this top 100 list? Because look, I feel like Detroit deserves more credit than Grand Rapids, and maybe I'm just being a homer, but I'll just say that.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, I'm surprised to see the 2 Grand Rapids restaurants on there because, frankly, my wife and I had been to Grand Rapids, and none of these 2 came up when we were searching for places to go. So I'm not sure where the dissociation came from there. But having said that, Detroit has, some wonderful restaurants. It has to be said, Selden Standard has become, frankly, the standard in terms of restaurants and doing interesting things. They have a world-class pastry chef. So Selden Standard has to be on any list as far as I'm concerned. She-Wolf, which is right down the street, what they do with kind of that traditional Italian fare, the wine selection, the handmade pasta. They just do an incredible job. I'm surprised that I did not see those 2 restaurants on the list. Now, I'm not surprised this next place didn't make the list, but I'm really happy to see him come back. We're hearing that Empire, the restaurant on Woodward in Midtown, is opening back up, Jer. I'm excited for one.
Isn't that the one underneath, isn't it on the ground level of what, the Scott, I want to say, just south of Mac?
You're absolutely right, Jerry. It is on the ground floor of the Scott, right at the corner there on Woodward. It was funny. It unfortunately got in the news for kind of the wrong reasons because it got a bad review that I still say was unjust. It's a great place for what it is. It was a neighborhood eatery. They did everything good, which was good enough. Great pizzas, rotating beer list, wine, a fantastic happy hour. My wife and I loved to go to this place. We lived a few blocks away. So I'm really happy to see them come back. Jared, they hadn't been open. They closed in March, during COVID. I thought they were finished because they just did not come back. So literally almost 2 years later, we are potentially seeing the return of Empire.
I've heard people love it, people don't. What is it that made you fall in love with it? I'm curious about that.
I'll be honest, it wasn't the place where you planned an entire night around, but it was a place that you definitely hit on your night out. Whether that be at the beginning of the night for maybe, like I said, they had a really, really good happy hour. They had, I think it was $6 pizzas, $6 wine and cocktails. You could go get a meal there for like $25 with drinks. So, people are always kind of disparaging, oh, Detroit's so expensive and you can't find a nice restaurant to eat at. You could get a great meal during happy hour at Empire for under $30. So that was something that, I think is worth mentioning. And then second of all, it was a place for a late night cocktail after a show, after a game. It was very close to LCA. So it was, walkable from Little Caesars Arena, walkable from, anything, even the Fox Theater. So it served a lot of good purposes. I just loved it because it never was too crowded. It felt like somewhere you could always go, bring friends, and never too pretentious, or, you always felt like you were welcome there. So I appreciate it a lot.
And we are done for today and the week. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes who makes this happen. Cheyenne Nocerini, Fletcher Sharp, Randy Walker. Of course, you, Devin, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you too, Jer. Happy to be back. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this big in 2022. I'm still riding the high from the new year, ringing in the new year.
And of course, if you haven't already, make sure to leave a review. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. We've had some great ones lately. Thank you so much. Also on Spotify, they're doing reviews now too. So appreciate that. Well, until next week, I'm Jer Stays.
I'm Devin O'Reilly.
Take care of each other, and we'll see you around Detroit.